So Bayern Munich, we just won 5-3 versus Augsburg. Let's go through some of the tactics Nagelsmann used, my picture analysis, some interesting tactical points. There were some differences to the match versus PSG, but let's go through some of the tactics, some of the interesting things that I learned through these matches. Of course, in these videos, I don't always go through the whole tactical analysis, but I pick out interesting points to talk about in the pictures, so it's interesting every time. Let's get into the Bayern formation. So this time, Bayern lined up in this 3-1-4-2 type formation that we've seen in the recent weeks, and I've really liked this formation because it allows all the front line to interchange. At any point in the game, it might be like this up front. You see, like, the players may be completely switched around, and that's fine. It gives Bayern flexibility. It means that Bayern players can run through. Like Sané, while Gnabry drops back, or while Mane picks up the ball, Musiala can go forward. It provides lots of flexibility. It provides headaches for defenders because they don't know which runs to the track. They don't know which players to follow. So it's very effective tactic. But in this game, both in attack, we've seen this formation in recent weeks, but in defense in recent weeks, we always see it drop back. Davies comes here, De Ligt comes here, Upamecano comes here. It becomes a back four in defense, and then the midfield would be something like this, and then the front would be something like this. It'd be more of like a 4-2-3-1 in when we're defending, and then the three back formation when we're attacking. But in this game versus Augsburg, we remained in that 3-1-4-2 formation when we were attacking. So I think this was good in a sense for the Augsburg game because it kept the players forward. They didn't have to track back so much, less tiring for them. But against tougher opposition, it won't be a good strategy because there'll be too many spaces left in behind if it's just three at the back, in my opinion. And also, when it is like that, say this is the formation that we were rocking. Say Davies, Musiala, Sané, Cancelo, Gnabry, Mane, they're all forward, all taken out of the game. Say Augsburg counter-attack, it was just Kimmich, De Ligt, Upamecano, Pavard, and I'll show some in the picture analysis, but I don't think this is a good strategy for Bayern in games against good teams. We'll also be talking about the general Bayern shape in the picture analysis, and also I'd like to just say that Pavard was really excellent in this game. Yes, he got the goals, but he's playing so solidly. He's playing like he was when he was at Stuttgart as a centre-back in the back three, and he's able to, when he's not quite out wide, but he's not quite in the centre, when he's kind of in this type of space, he's able to find long balls, he's able to play great passes to his teammates. Also, Cancelo was excellent in this game, and Cancelo was even cutting inside sometimes, shooting on the left foot. He was cutting inside for the goal. He was getting involved, and maybe if he's showing this attacking propensity, maybe he could replace Kingsley Coman in that Champagne XI in this formation. Musiala, excellent as usual. Sané was really excellent, spraying passes. His passing ability from this position means he can play direct balls on the ground to the likes of Davies, Gnabry, Mane. Mane, of course, was offside in that one instant, but let's just get straight into the picture section, basically. So, 1 second. So, this is the Bayern formation in the match versus PSG. So you see here, this is the actual positioning of the Bayern players, and you see here it's more of a back four. It's like between a back three, back four hybrid, and this is what I was talking about. Bayern, when in defense, they play the four back. When in attack, they play the three back. So it was more of a back four hybrid, and then there's the attacking players, and the attacking players are all kind of in a line because this shows the interchanging of Bayern players around, so it's not one in attack all the time. But this was the Bayern formation against Augsburg where the actual players were, and you can clearly see it's much more of a three-back formation, and this is what I was talking about. You see the two wing-backs are clearly on the same line, whereas in the other game, the Davies was a bit behind because he was tracking back to become a four-back in defense, and this is a clear back three, and you see Kimmich is the lone CDM clearly, then Musiala and Sané, and then Gnabry was roaming all over, but Gnabry was often in this position too. Mane as the clear striker though, clear focal point. But let's get into how it looked actually in the game when we did these tactics. So you see here, this is how Bayern Munich attacked in this game. They always had 4 players in the box, and then they had 1 player roaming outside, and we saw this in multiple instances in the game. But this is good because it creates lots of crossing options in the box you see here. But you see also Stuttgart's players are all crowded around here, and this is a theme we've seen in recent weeks also. But if both fullbacks get forward, you see this is Davies. But Cancelo is wide open. Davies in this instant chooses to pass back to the player who's roaming around the box, which was Mane, and Mane gets a shot off, but it goes wide. But you see Cancelo was wide open free here. Also, it shows that because we are pushing so many players forward, because we're pushing at least 2 or 3 central players forward, the central centre-backs, the midfielders are occupied, and that leaves those wide balls open as good possibilities for Bayern. Again here, we see that offensive shape I was talking about. There are 4 players here in the box, and then there's 1 player roaming. So it was always a strategy for Bayern, play ball back to the 1 player, like we saw versus when Mane got the chance in that instant. Again here, Sané gets the chance, Sané shoots, but it's a rather tame effort. But because Bayern have so many players, they are stretching Augsburg. Again, Cancelo is free, or again, someone else is free here. Again, even Kimmich is in the box here. But this is also why Bayern versus Augsburg wasn't so solid defensively. If we have all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 attacking players forward, including Kimmich, our central midfielder, it means that if Augsburg got the ball to this man and he got to play forward, there'd be 7 Bayern players out of the game, and it would just be 3 Bayern defenders plus Jan Sommer to defend against. So it's a risky strategy on the counter, but we were able to push forward because we know it's against Augsburg. We know it's not against a top quality team. Again, this is what I was talking about earlier. Cancelo, in this instance, finds Davies, and Davies scores an excellent goal, and it's because you see Davies is wide open here because he's lost his man. Because we have these wide wing fullbacks pushing forward, it means that wingers have to track the wing-backs, and they're not so good defensively, firstly. But because of the athleticism of our wing-backs also, it means that they can get into the box really quickly. And you see this centre-back is preoccupied by Thomas Muller, this centre-back is preoccupied by Musiala, Tell is preoccupying these central midfielders. It means that there are open spaces in those back posts, and that's why the wing-back to wing-back crosses have been a theme in recent weeks. They were a theme in the first leg versus PSG. They are a theme now. And the attacking players we get forward are also a big theme. And again, it's this 4 people in attack and 1 person hanging outside the box. And it just means that all of the back 4 of the opposition team are covered. And it means that there will be free spaces for other players in the team. And we saw here, this is how a goal came about. Now, I also want to talk, I already mentioned this, but it's another instance. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Even De Ligt's almost at the penalty box. That shouldn't be happening for Bayern. Against a top team, it doesn't work. Against Augsburg, it works. But if Augsburg got the ball out here and were able to counter-attack, then all of these Bayern players are out of the game. Their centre-backs out of the game. Central midfield. We have no midfield in this instance. So yes, it works against Augsburg. And that's why Nagelsmann did it against Augsburg. Because it works. Because we can commit those many players forward. Because we're not at danger of fast counter-attacks. But if Bayern were against a really top team, then it'd be really dangerous to play like this with so many players forward, even De Ligt, Kimmich forward. It just doesn't really work in this instant. Let's talk about Sané's skimmers also, though. So I'm talking about skimmed passes here. But Sané's skimmed passes are so excellent. They're the grass-cutting passes, and you see here the green line I've drawn. It shows that there isn't really an open space in that green line, but Sané sees that, and he's able from that midfield position to play such direct, such slightly curving on the ground, skimmed grass-cutting passes, and this one just skimmed beautifully to Mane, and then Mane had a chance to shoot, or Mane had a... Actually, I think this is when Mane shot, and then keeper saved it, and then Sané scored his header. but it shows Sané's vision, Sané's ability to play passes like that. I bet Sané could also play a similar pass through the middle here to Gnabry. I think he's our best offensive passer. Yes, Kimmich is great, but he's more good at the lofted ones, at the really direct ones. Sané is like Messi. His technique's the same. It's like straight across the ground with a high speed, and they are just really good passes. When Sané is in this type of position, he's able to really thread the needle, thread into these type of spaces, into these type of spaces, into these type of spaces, these offensive through balls. Say if there was a player around here, Sané would be able to thread it, say if there wasn't this player on the ground here. You know what I mean though, it's about his technique. He's able to really thread really tight gaps. The tight gap between these two players can't be more than 1 meter. It needs to be both quick and also really precise to reach Mane here. But Sané was able to do that goal. It's similar to one of the goals we scored versus Victoria Pilsen in the Champions League, Thomas Muller goal. Sané does that incisive pass to that left wing, and then they passed it across to Muller, and Muller scored. But Sané's through balls abilities are really strong in this capacity. And let's also talk about Mane being offside again. So we've seen so many times that Mane, you see this offside line, Mane is just marginally in front. But Mane really needs to sit back. He's a great player. He scores these chances. But he's had about 8 offside goals a season. So yes, when he gets the ball, he does score. But he really needs to focus on holding his run slightly further back, because he does have that pace to go forward, and it'll be really important for Bayern in recent times. But basically, ultimately, this was a strong Bayern Munich performance. I think it worked that we had that 3-1-4-2 by Nagelsmann instead of reverting back to a 4-2-3-1 in defense, because the players really got forward. Cancelo, Davies really bombed down their wings. The attack was very fluid. Sané, Musiala, Gnabry and Mane were often interchanging, often moving around in their formations. If I had one criticism of Nagelsmann, I would say that he should have used different subs, maybe, or better subs. We saw Thomas Muller come on, but he was very tired looking throughout the match, so maybe he should have been given a complete rest. Also, I would like to say that Gravenberch, he came on quite late. Why didn't Gravenberch start this game even? We've seen so much talk about the lack of minutes of Gravenberch. He always plays well when he comes on. Why shouldn't he start this game when our attackers were tired? Yes, but we could have, for example, benched Musiala. Musiala already had a tired game versus PSG, and he looked quite tired here today, so why not do that? But overall, it was a good performance from Nagelsmann. It was a good performance from Bayern. We attacked well. We defended relatively well. You'll talk about the XG were very similar between Bayern and Augsburg, but you have to look at the game situations. If Bayern needed to shut up shop when it was 4-1 and not concede any more goals or anything, then they would have. So I think it was overall good performance. The attack was quite fluid. It was good to see those wing-back to wing-back crosses. It was interesting to see those 4 men in the box. And let's look forward to next game. It was quite a good one. But Augsburg, of course, are no PSG. Augsburg are no Champions League opponents. So they weren't as good as they could have been. And it meant that Bayern could also play different tactics. So I don't think we'll see these tactics on a regular basis. I don't think we'll see them against Dortmund in their Klassiker in a few weeks, for example. But goodbye.